If you want the Kansas City Chiefs to become the first ever team in Super Bowl history to three-peat, well, do me a favor, go down there and hit that like button. We got an awesome show for you today talking about Eric Bieniemy and the potential for him to return to Kansas City. Hit that like button and let's get the show on the road. Thanks for joining us here on the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Jay Sanders. In today's show, you saw it in the title. You clicked the video. You saw the thumbnail. Eric Bieniemy returning to Kansas City. Yeah, we're talking about it because the rumors continue to swirl. And honestly, as the days go by, as jobs fill up, it's becoming more and more of a possibility. Now, to what extent? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. But before that, let's catch you up on exactly what got us to this point. Why he is even rumored to be talking with Kansas City about a potential reunion. Let's go back about 3 weeks from now, maybe now 4 weeks, to the AFC Championship game. Pete Sweeney had this tweet saying that Andy Reid talked about, saying Eric Bieniemy came in and talked to the offensive players ahead of the AFC Championship, which is wild in itself, but we actually got more info on this throughout the week before Super Bowl 58. James Palmer on NFL Network said this. The night before the AFC title game in Baltimore, my understanding is he drove up, went to the team hotel, and met with the offensive side of the ball. Now, there was a play up that they were going over, and Eric Bieniemy went up. It was an old play, kind of went through the install with the entire offensive group for old time's sake. Now, I do want to stop right here and say that we did get basically an approval from the Commanders. He was asked by the Commanders, hey, can I go do this? They said, yeah. Of course, by that point, they were looking for a new head coach. His future with them was unstable. They didn't exactly know if he was going to stay with the team in the upcoming year, which now we see he's not with them. Dan Quinn let him go. Now, does this mean he will come back? That's what kind of we've gotten to at this point, because obviously it's one thing to talk to a team before an AFC Championship game. It's another thing to talk to a team that you worked with the year before. Well, here's the first bombshell report. Dennis Dodd had this saying that Mike Florio reports just now on CBS Sports Radio that Eric Bieniemy could be back as the Chiefs' offensive coordinator next season. Let's pause for a second because I do want to say something. I do not think that is going to happen. Honestly, there's no validity behind this take. There's a lot of other factors, and I don't really understand where Florio got this from or why he is saying this. Did he talk to the Chiefs for the AFC Championship game? Yes. Is that very important? Yes. Does that mean he's going to return as the offensive coordinator? Heck no. I will say that Matt Nagy had a little bit of a tough stretch throughout the season, but they still won the Super Bowl. You're not going to fire your offensive coordinator after winning the Super Bowl. But that doesn't mean he can't return in a different facet. Now, what facet? Well, we're kind of got some information on that, and we'll give that to you in just a second. But I do want to ask this question. Would you want Eric Bieniemy to return to Kansas City in 2024? I'm curious to see, is this a potential thing that you would want to see in Kansas City? Let me know in the comment section. Type Y for yes if you want to see him back. Type in for no. Bieniemy making his return to KC. Well, let's see it in the comments. He was with the Washington Commanders this past year. And honestly, the comparison from 2022 to 2023, not that big a deal. I mean, probably week 14 or 15, we showed you this similar type of graphic. It was a little better. The points per game were up. The yards per play were a little more up. But the third down percentage is almost the exact same. The red zone percentage is the only place where they really improved in 2023. He just wasn't great in Washington, to be quite honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and say that he was the problem because I think there was other factors for that. I think Sam Howell's not really a great quarterback. I think the offensive weapons really didn't perform the way they should have. And obviously, the Commanders just were not the greatest team, which puts a stress and a toll factor on the offense and the offensive coordinator. Now, obviously, right now, there's lots of rumors saying that he could come back. Well, guess what? We got an official statement from that. Pro Football Talk talked about to what extent he could be back and how exactly it could be beneficial to both Bieniemy and to the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll tell you what that report was in just a moment. But make sure you're getting your prize picks in. I know that the NFL season is over and you're probably a little sad. Well, guess what? Prize picks is a way to help you continue making money and having fun with sports. They've got NBA, NHL, and guess what? The MLB season is upon us. So I went ahead, I put in some season-long totals here. I got my boy Bobby Witt Jr. in there, just signed his contract extension in KC. I'm going to more on his season total of hits. I'm going to more on Shohei Ohtani, 38.5 home runs. Listen, you're getting paid $700 million over 10 years. You better hit 40. Juan Soto's playing in a Little League park in Yankee Stadium. He's going to have more than 35.5 home runs. And then Adolis Garcia, fresh off his World Series championship. Yeah, I think he's going to get more than 32.5. He pimps some home runs. I'm excited to see him. If you don't know what Prize Picks is, you're thinking, hey, Jace, what is this? Well, let me tell you about it. Prize Picks is a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. And you can not only have MLB, NBA, and NHL things, you can combo these projections across your entries. So, say, for instance, you could pick the more on, say, Shohei Ohtani home runs and the more on Jason Tatum points. You can push these leagues together. Plus, we have a special code for you, prizepicks.com/CLNS. And then using the code CLNS, you're going to get a first deposit match of up to $100. Also, they have a reboot policy so that for NBA, if somebody gets injured in the first quarter and then does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. Now, quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types. Well, that's what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Once again, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. Shout out to Prize Picks. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, how would this work? Bieniemy's role would not be an offensive coordinator. Matt Nagy will not be fired. The Chiefs won a Super Bowl. You don't fire your OC after winning a Super Bowl, especially since, I'm not going to lie, in the playoffs, I kind of liked what the offense did. I know it didn't always work, but the play calling, the way everything was going, overall, I kind of enjoyed it. I think there were a couple plays that were questionable, but I think they were a lot better than what we saw in the entirety of the regular season. You can't knock Bieniemy, though, because if we look at 2022 to 2023 with these two guys as offensive coordinators and kind of similar roles, I'm not going to lie here, Bieniemy didn't have any receivers last year either. Matt Nagy had Rashee Rice, which is good, but still, Bieniemy and Nagy were in similar situations in terms of weapons around Patrick Mahomes. The points per game, that was a lot more. Passing yards per game, 50 yards more. Rushing yards a game, 10 yards more. Yards per game, 70 yards more. And then obviously just the one more win, though. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that Matt Nagy was terrible, was the reason all that, but you also can't discount the way that Bieniemy did it. The problem is both these teams won the Super Bowl. And I don't know if that's necessarily a problem because I don't know about you. I'm feeling pretty good about back-to-back, but it's not going to work for Bieniemy to come back as the offensive coordinator. That ship has sailed. Matt Nagy is the guy, and I kind of like it. I got to be honest. I watched the mic'd up takes from the NFL Network on YouTube, and honestly, seeing Matt Nagy do his thing, he looked pretty calm and collective and honestly in control of his offense. So how could he come back, though? Because I'm telling you, you're watching this video, well, Jace, how in the world is he going to come back then? You keep telling me he's not going to. How could he? Well, here is how. We got this from Pro Football Talk just about a week ago, saying this. Per a source with knowledge of the situation, Bieniemy could return to the Chiefs for 2024. His title likely would be something along the lines of assistant head coach, with Matt Nagy likely remaining in the position of offensive coordinator. And it would be beneficial to the term in multiple ways. This would have to work for Bieniemy too. And what I mean by that is Bieniemy is going to search around for all the jobs he possibly can find. If he's a running backs coach, I've heard that he's rumored to potentially go with the Saints. There's rumors that he could go help work with the Texans. If there's one of those jobs available and he gets that, I think he takes that first. But if he is out a job, I think the Chiefs are going to take him. Why? Well, Patrick Mahomes even loves him. He talked about EB now before the season, so a long time ago. But this was kind of defending Eric Bieniemy on his, coaching style. EB is going to be harsh on you. He's going to really try to get the best out of you every single day. He's going to hold you accountable whenever you don't even want to hold yourself accountable, and it made me a better player. Listen, Bieniemy has a job with the Chiefs. If you're making Patrick Mahomes, the best player in the National Football League, a better player, you have a job. So when would this happen? How would this happen? Well, that's kind of yet to be determined. Bieniemy does have a resume, though, that you cannot deny. And I honestly would take him back in any way possible. in some ways, of an offensive analyst. If he's just in the building, it seems like everything goes better. Now, Jeff Curry even talked about this and kind of recognized the accolades that Bieniemy was able to do with the Chiefs. He said this on a CBS Sport article saying, the Chiefs scored the most points per game in the NFL, 30.1, during Bieniemy's run as an offensive coordinator, along with the most yards per game at 406.2. Kansas City also had the best record in the NFL during Bieniemy's time with the team, going 64-18 with 5 conference championship game appearances and 2 Super Bowl titles in the 5 years he led the offense. I want Bieniemy to come back. I think that's where we sit here. I think that overall, Bieniemy deserves a spot with the Kansas City Chiefs, and hopefully you think the same way. So if you want him to return, well, here's an idea. Go down there, hit that like button. It's going to be a little bit of a poll trying to see what exactly Chiefs Kingdom is thinking. I know Bieniemy has a lot of options, or at least he should, but now he's kind of sitting here in no man's land. So if the Chiefs want him, I think they probably got him. Let me know if you like that. Give me a like down below. We appreciate you as always, Chiefs Kingdom. We'll see you next time. Peace out.